Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports and the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Paulo De Rosario. In tonight's game plan, our one-on-one exclusive interview with returning Gilas Pilipinas head coach Tab Baldwin on what to expect from the young national squad and his long-term goals for the team. In the NBA, Kyrie Irving is sidelined with an ankle injury. Can Kevin Durant carry the Brooklyn Nets on his back after the Bucks tied their series? And the OG, Daddy GDL, Bert Gomez de Liano, joins us to talk about recent developments with Javi and Jordi, and he'll also share his stories as a basketball dad to his 5 sons. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Gilas Pilipinas is ready to showcase puso once again as they gear up to face Korea and Indonesia in the 2021 FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. Now let's get the latest from the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas media officer, Carlo Pamintuan, who is inside the bubble in Clark, Pampanga. Carlo, first time for me calling you the media officer of the SBP. What's the latest there on the ground?
All's good here, Pao. Gilas Pilipinas men is currently in practice at the Angeles University Foundation Gym. They're working hard in preparation for their 3 games here. As you said, 2 against South Korea, 1 against Indonesia. We have a very young team, so all of the time that they can spend together on the court is valuable for them moving forward.
Well, the latest from the team is that you have Isaac Go, who's named captain, and you also have Kai Soto, at least in the bubble, and there's going to be things to consider there. What can we expect from the team in the lead-up to the actual competition?
It's actually funny earlier because I was discussing with Isaac Go how he is now the team captain, and I mentioned the names of players who became team captains like Jim Yalapag and Gabe Norwood and Don Ontiveros for the 2015 team, and he got goosebumps because he feels that it is a huge responsibility that he wasn't thinking of, and then I put it in his head, so I apologize to Isaac Go immediately. But they're a young team. They're a very young team, so you know that there will be mistakes, there will be challenges in the next few games, especially because they have not played a single game in preparation for this window. Half of the team played in November the last time. The other half have not played a basketball game since last year before the pandemic started. So it'll be interesting to see what the team comes up with, especially in their first game against South Korea.
So kung na-pressure si Big Chill, basically kasalanan mo. But Carlo, this team is very excited, I'm sure, to finally go up against the likes of Korea, talking to Coach Tab, and again, him being named the head coach. What do you get from him in terms of their chances going into this one?
Well, it's his program. All of the content that is being taught to Gilas Pilipinas men throughout his stint as a Gilas Pilipinas men program director, it's his system. It is what he has proven with his stints with Jordan, with New Zealand, carrying them to the Olympics. So it's about time for him to really pick things up and be the head coach for this team. Again, it's building slowly but surely towards the goal of 2023. That is the entire ploy for Gilas Pilipinas men.
Carlo, we really appreciate the updates, and we can't wait to hear from you again soon for more inside information from inside the bubble. Thank you very much.
Thank you, pal.
Meantime, Coach Tab Baldwin returns as the head coach of the national team. Our very own Gretchen Ho spoke with Coach Tab about his long-term goal for the young Gilas squad in this exclusive one-on-one edition of Inside the Game.
Let's welcome Program Director turned Head Coach, Coach Tab Baldwin. Tell us a bit more about what you're looking for in developing this young pool you have.
Still a bit premature because we believe that we're still training these players to be complete players. That doesn't happen overnight, and we've had a good amount of training time, but it's never enough. From the offensive side of the ball, it's positionless basketball. It's multiple phases on offense. It's multiple options on offense. We don't expect one star player to carry the load. And in fact, the system doesn't cater to one star player. Again, it takes time to evolve this. But the one advantage that I have is young players are much easier to coach in terms of aggression and effort and energy. So from that standpoint, it's a good match. And if we can build that culture to play that way, then as they age, that will be normal for them. And
How difficult has it been trying to get the boys to learn the system, to learn the culture in such an environment that we have now?
we choose to look upon our situation as a great opportunity. And maybe there's some irony here in the fact that our culture is about a culture of connection. And this is what we're striving every day for. We want these young men to be connected to one another in physically in terms of how they play, mentally in terms of how they understand the game, and really spiritually in terms of how much they're prepared to commit to one another and for one another, and by proxy for the country. And so, I don't know if this is a unique culture. I don't know if other people think it's a smart thing to do or not, but it is ours. And again, we've had tremendous buy-in from these young guys, but we have a tremendously long way to go. And this is really just the early stages. Not even having played a game with this current crop of players, we honestly don't know what's going to walk out on the floor and how we're going to feel and how we're going to look. So there's a lot of unknowns, but there's a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of promise, and there certainly is a lot of commitment to great effort and great energy when we do go out.
For those Filipino basketball fans, because for sure not everybody understands why we're fielding in a young squad, and some others may want results right away. What is important for us to understand with this program that you're building? And what is your vision for the whole team as program director and now as head coach for us to see in the future?
Well, Gretchen, I think perhaps you touched on maybe the most important element of what's going on in the national team program right now, and that is results. But I would like for our fans, I'd like for the basketball public and really everybody to understand that there are many kinds of results these days that we are after. Obviously, everybody's looking at the final score of the games that we play, and they somehow want to draw a conclusion from that reflects what's going on in the day-to-day work. We always have to be guarded by the results on the scoreboard. We have to understand that we are in a program and we are in a progression moving towards 2023 and beyond, in fact. And so we are looking for all kinds of results. We're looking for the development of players. We're looking for a culture to be developed. Some of these things you can't quantify. Some of these things you have to trust the powers that be, and that would be our coaching staff and our program directors, not just me, but also people like Coach Ryan Gregorio and Boss Al Panlilio. We're all, invested in all kinds of results. And we do understand that the fans want to enjoy winning on the court. We absolutely understand that. We do too. And there's nothing better than a victorious locker room. But it doesn't always come. And for this program in particular, we are not putting all of our emphasis on that at this point. But certainly by 2023, we want to see a team and field a team in the World Cup in the Philippines that is capable of winning games, it's capable of getting out of the first round, and it's capable of walking on the court with the major powers in the country, like a Serbia or like a United States, and our players feeling like they belong there. They really feel like they're competitive as a team. That is an important result.
The message for the fans on what to expect when we watch you go up against Korea and Indonesia.
People need something to inspire them. People need something to feel good about. And so, our coaching staff, we've thrown that into the mix with the players. And we've said, look, if for any reason you're struggling to find a reason to motivate, let's get in the bus and go drive through various areas, various barangays in this country that we love. And let's look at how people are suffering. And let's remember that in this country in particular, basketball is a rallying point. It always has been. It is a point where everybody can come together and believe in something and love something and support something. So will we win? I hope so. Will we try to win? Absolutely. Every possession, everything we do is geared towards winning. Will we fight to win? Unquestionably. So I don't think that there will be reason to be disappointment no matter what the score is, because you're going to have your countrymen fighting for you. And I think that's always a source of pride. Can we win? We can. Will we win? Tune in and see.
Thank you to Gilas head coach Tab Baldwin for that interview with our woman in action, Gretchen Ho. Catch Gilas Pilipinas as they compete in the 2021 FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. Don't miss out on the action starting June 16, 6 p.m. against South Korea, June 18, 6 p.m. against Indonesia, and again June 20, 3 p.m. against South Korea once more. Live on TV5 and One Sports Plus. When we return, we'll talk NBA playoff basketball and whether or not Kevin Durant can carry the Brooklyn Nets on his shoulders as the Bucks tie the series. Keep it here. You're watching the game. Welcome back to the game. I'm Paulo De Rosario, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the always on time, the punctual Camille Clarin. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Paulo. How are you?
You know, I'm doing okay, and I'm sure you're doing really, really well, especially after your pick. Phoenix just swept the Denver Nuggets.
Yep.
But we're going to talk first about what happened in the Eastern Conference. Let's check out some NBA Eastern Conference action between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets. 107-96 is the final score. Milwaukee tied the series up 2 games all. 34 points for Giannis, 12 rebounds as well. Kevin Durant with 28 and 13. But the big story here, the ankle sprain of Kyrie Irving. And because of that, we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. But here in Game 4, it was all Milwaukee. Camille, when you look at this and you see that the Bucks have tied it up, and when people were talking about how the Nets would probably sweep this contest, what does that say?
I mean, it's obviously looking scary for the Nets. I thought they were going to sweep, especially how the first half of the series was going. But honestly, they have momentum now, and I think the Bucks are in it to win it. Absolutely.
So now we're going to bring in one of our friends of the show, the host for of the NBA Republica Huddle on NBA Philippines, Nico Ramos. Nico, looking at this one, I don't know if you're one of the people who expected the Bucks to be swept after the first 2 games, but looking at the turnaround, the developments, how scared are you if you're a Nets fan?
Oh, I'm very scared if I were a Nets fan. Pao CC, thanks for having me. But, you know, the tried old saying in basketball is the best ability is availability, and that's something that the Nets are in dire need of right now. They're 2 of their top 3 guys, 2 of the top, 15, 12 guys in the NBA not suiting up for them. It is, unfortunately, in their own words, scary hours in Brooklyn right now.
So we're going to bring out some memes here that went around over on Twitter, because really, you can't watch basketball and not look on social media and see what people are saying. But before that, Nico, this, without Kyrie, without James Harden, everything just seems different. And as we see here, Kevin Durant holding on to Joe Harris to not leave him after the Kyrie injury. You just feel that Kevin Durant's just losing pieces left and right.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, and the question is, can he do it by himself? I'm not sure what else you want from him. The man is averaging 38 and 5 in this series against the Milwaukee Bucks on 50%, 44% and 87% splits. You're losing. James Harden, hasn't played a full game in this series so far. With Kyrie out, you're losing 23, 5 and 4. I know that's the simplistic way to look at a basketball game, but those numbers are going to be tough to reproduce. But if you look at the Bucks' ability to defend and the number of defensive-minded players they have on their roster, sure, it didn't work when they were trying to cover all three guys, and it barely worked when they were trying to cover two guys. I think it's going to work a little better for them when they're only trying to cover one guy, and then they can live with the Mike Jameses and the Joe Harrises of the world going, if you're going to beat us, then go ahead, we double dare you.
All right, absolutely. So let's take a look at the second meme here. CC, I'll let you take this one. The Nets in game. So this is my first time seeing this, and obviously that's the point guard they need, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, that's the man they need to step up. But honestly, he can't. But I have good hopes for, KD to put the team on his shoulders and finally shut up the haters and, cement his legacy.
A lot of people will probably look at this and see it as Giannis and KD. And personally, do you feel that which player has the most to gain in terms of legacy, in terms of what people think of them as players? Is it Giannis or KD?
I think it's KD just because his whole legacy has been negative, honestly, at this point, just because he's, known to switch teams and join super teams. So although he's still on a super team with all these injuries, I think he has the chance to finally shut the talk up and allow himself to, reign supreme and show the fans what he's capable of.
Nico, do you agree?
I mean, it's tough because, trying to quantify or even qualify legacy is always kind of like an argument that has no start, middle, or end. But I mean, if there's any moment for Kevin Durant to, be the best player in the world, which on any given day he might as well be, and he is 1A, 1B on any given day, especially when he's been fully healthy. It's this opportunity at home, at Brooklyn, in their nice fancy arena, with their newfound fans, with the Knicks out of contention. The moment is now. The stage has been set for KD to deliver what could quite possibly be a classic performance on his own, on his back, to really lift the Nets to a 3-2 advantage lead that they desperately need, and then cross his fingers that one of his guys is going to come back for Game 6 to close this out. But it's going to be incredibly difficult because that's a very, very tough Milwaukee Bucks team staring across from them, as the Bucks have proved at home, Game 3 and Game 4. But, CDC's right. I'll tell you this. If there's one person who can do it, it's probably the best basketball player still playing in the playoffs right now, one Mr. Kevin Wayne Durant.
Well, the Kevin Durant has a lot to face, considering the stars of the Bucks are still there. You have Giannis, you have Drew, you have Middleton, but it's going to be tough, and it's going to be an interesting battle to see. But moving on, Nico, I'm sorry, we have to celebrate a bit with CC here, who's super happy that she apparently is the smartest person that we've ever had on the show, because she's the only one who predicted the Suns to make it to the finals, and they're on track to do that. CC, your thoughts on Chris Paul, in particular that fourth quarter, because he was just amazing.
It's beautiful to see him finally, coming out of his shell, I guess. He's had a great career, but for him to finally shine, especially in the playoffs and the postseason, where, people kind of say that he's not one to pull his team up, I think it's great to see, and obviously great for my personal bracket, that he's showing up, and the rest of the team as well.
Well, Nico, your thoughts on that performance? Because obviously CC is pleased, and I'm sure all of the Phoenix Suns fans are pleased. But that performance is just a throwback, really, for CP3.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's accurate anymore, Pao. I mean, I used to use that word a lot too, and when CP would pull games like these out, but this has become the new normal. This has become the standard for Chris Paul. Maybe not 30-plus point games, but being the best point guard in the game of basketball, and arguably arguably, I know Magic Johnson is somewhere coughing really loud for me to hear him, and maybe Isaiah Thomas and John Stockton have something to say as well. But he is definitely, without question, in the conversation for best point guard to ever play. Call him Point God from now on, moving forward. It's the only way to address him. The Lakers fandom, I think, has still disowned me because when they were tied 2-2 and I came onto this show, I said it was a wrap, that Chris Paul was going to close them out. It has been a joy to watch Monty Williams and these Suns play. They play the right way. There's no egos on that team. Anybody can hurt you. Unfortunately for the Nuggets, the two guys at the top of the whiteboard for every game were the two guys that hurt them the most, to nobody's surprise. Book and CP are for real, and Phoenix is looking at the other side at Utah and the Clippers going, we don't care who comes out.
Yeah, they seem ready, and as a Utah fan, I'm worried, but they should be worried too. just so you know, Nico, thank you very much for joining us. And if we listen really closely, we can hear the tears of some Lakers fans from the past, knowing that CP3 could have been there. Nico, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, pal. Thanks, EC.
Bye.
All right, now after the break, Daddy GDL, Bert Gomez de Liano, joins us to talk about the recent developments of Javi and Jordi, and he'll also share stories as a basketball dad to his 5 sons. Stay tuned. You're watching the game. Welcome back to the game. I'm Paulo Del Rosario. Now, in the spirit of Father's Day, tonight we have a very special guesting featuring the Padre de Familia of the famous Gomez de Liano brothers. Call him whatever you want, Daddy GDL, GDL Supreme, the Godfather, or simply the fun and loving, quote-unquote, Bert. Mr. Bert Gomez de Liano joins us tonight on the game, the OGDL. Mr. Bert, how are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing fine, Sir Paulo. Thank you, Paul. Glad to be here.
Tito, you don't have to call me sir because let's not recognize age on this show. But looking at, I have to say before we move on, you're so impressive what you are doing as a father. Father of 5 sons and 1 daughter. I was joking to Cece a while ago. That's your starting 5 and your head coach in the future. But if you when looking at the challenges that you have raising your kids, can you talk to us about trying to make sure that they are always competitive, because they are as athletes, but in a very constructive way, especially when they butt heads?
This might come as a shock to everyone. But, I never focused my kids, at least the boys, to go basketball. I made it very clear to them at a very young age. I would train them, because I'm a swimmer. Mm-hmm. I swam in Ateneo. I represented the varsity team. And at a very young age, I would bring the boys to different tournaments. When it comes to swimming, aquathlon, duathlon, triathlon. At a very young age, I would train them to strive and to hopefully enjoy the sport I would love. Because growing up, my main goal was to at least hopefully give the very, very first gold Olympic medal for the Philippines. Because until now, we still don't have a gold medal after all these years. And I kind of figured out, okay, I might just dedicate 10 to 12 years of my life just never ending swimming, running, biking. But eventually they shifted. Somewhere on the line they had to choose which was really basketball, because we live at our home, we have a basketball court behind.
Yeah.
They felt more comfortable with the basketball, and it just came so naturally, and it was no I couldn't fight with it. Something that my passion is different. All of a sudden, they shifted to basketball, which I had to accept and just support them all the way.
Well, Tito Bert, you mentioned a while ago that they're very comfortable with basketball. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, ikaw pa yung videographer ng mga highlight reels na nasa bahay. But I want to ask you about Jordi in particular because he hit the news recently after committing to UST. What can the UST fans expect from him in particular? They know his brothers. We've seen them in Gilas. We've seen them in UP. But what makes Jordi special?
I think what makes him special is, in due respect with all the players, because at the collegiate level, practically everyone or a lot already at the level of competitiveness, and they're very very good. But at what I think Jordi can offer here is that when we sat down with several times with the coaching staff of UST, they pinpointed a development plan, a player development plan on how to improve and how to succeed. It was very clear from the start. They needed a shooting guard to position. They cited the advantages and disadvantages. I know my son Jordi has a lot to improve yet. Right now, he's 6'5" shooting guard. He's 18 years old. He was supposed to be part of the Gilas under-16 team, but they were cut short. So perhaps at that age level, he's very competitive. But now, when you're dealing at the UAP level, he's right now 18 and you're competing with guys at 24, 25 years old, you would see how big, how mature, how developed they are. That would be a very big task. But talking several times with the coaching staff, they made it very clear how they could develop my son, Jordi, to be a holistic player and contribute immensely for the UST basketball program. And,
Absolutely, Tito Bert. Sorry, Tito Bert. But it's fantastic to know about Jordi and his and what he could do for UST. And as you mentioned, a lot of bright spots there. But we also want to talk about your other sons as well, Cici.
Yeah, so I would like to ask you about Javi. He has a new and, upfront role here in Gilas. So how have you seen his character and most specifically his skills develop so far?
What's nice with Javi is that, all my kids from the very, very start, I taught them how to be winners, champions. Even though you have the mentality, let's say, they'll compete marathon, Milo marathon, and or whatever discipline, they have what it takes to go and finish it. So now, going back to Javi, Javi has developed immensely. When I say developed immensely, he was a good player. I mean, he is a good player, but he was definitely challenged, I could say, last year when he got cut from the first window. And what Coach Mark Dickel mentions that, you have to improve your agility, your athleticism, you have to improve your weight and everything. Those were done in a way, systematic way, wherein he reduced 30 pounds.
Yes, actually, Tito Bert, I was going to say that I believe that with that weight change just really was the most obvious difference. But we also saw that later on in the games. In fact, sa totoo lang, Tito Bert, pati ako na-inspire. I decided to lose weight also, and but the results aren't there yet, admittedly. But also moving on to Juan, when we look at Juan, he was probably, at least there was a time wherein he was probably the most talked about, especially in the college circuit, especially what he did in Gilas. Looking at the challenges that he's gone through, what do you think was it in his childhood that really made him one of the more standout figures in Philippine basketball?
Okay, what I can say, Juan is a natural, plain and simple.
Yeah.
His level of competition is just immense. His mindset is to win and to get the job done. In the different disciplines he entered as a young player, he would deliver. Now, these are exciting times ahead of Juan. As you know, he got cut in the last window, but this will strengthen his character. This will strengthen not only, because no question, as a dad, I might be biased. I might, I have my biases. where was it cut in the first place? But then
Yeah.
again, these are realities in life that you have to change. Even though you were the MVP in the last window, but no one knows. No one knows. So life goes on. He'll have to face it up maturely, and maybe opportunities might knock next time. We will never know.
Tito Bert, you're right. Absolutely. A lot of people were concerned when the cut did happen, and it's not just your bias. I believe that there are also impartial basketball reasons to argue the other way around. But Tito Bert, the OG GDL, thank you very much for joining us here
Thank
tonight
you.
to talk about
Thank you.
your kids, and we
Thank
hope to be able to talk about them more and more very soon as basketball starts resuming all over the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, Camille, looking at all of that, hearing all those stories, it's insane to see a family so competitive and producing such great talent for Philippine basketball.
Honestly, it's crazy that he's done it so many times and
Yeah.
all of his kids, and this thing's only up for them. And I think that just speaks to how great of a father and how great of a family culture that they've developed there.
And this segment actually reminded me about Father's Day coming up, so I'll have to make a greeting for my dad very soon. Again, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Paul Del Rosario. She's Camille Clarin, and this has been The Game.